Right, DJI has just released the RS4 Mini, and I am thinking I'm probably going to get rid of my RS2 Pro and get the RS4 Mini to use as my daily driver and make me use my gimbal more often, because half the time I find it a pain to have to take this extra bag, because it's just hard to fit that massive, great big gimbal into my camera bag when I'm already taking enough gear. So a lot of the time I'll opt not to take it, and I'm hoping swapping for the RS4 Mini will solve this one. But is it going to be able to take the cameras that I use, the FX3 and the FX30, with the lenses I use? I'm not sure, but I'm feeling pretty confident. I've watched a lot of reviews. I guess let's just go get one.
Shut up and take my money!
Alrighty, here it is, the gimbal. First impressions, this thing is much smaller, much smaller than my RS2 Pro, and why I wanted to change it. If it's smaller, or sorry, not smaller, if it's more convenient to take around with you all the time, which being smaller does make it, then you're going to use it more. It's the reason why I changed my Air 2S, the drone, to the Mini 4 Pro, because it is much tinier, and since doing that, I have actually been using it a lot more because it's way more convenient. It fits in my camera bag without having to take a separate bag, or it's just generally easier to take around because you can fit that drone in your hoodie pocket. This, I'm hoping, will be the same. First impressions of it, the color, I'm kind of 50-50 on the color. It does remind me of a DJI drone because of that light gray. I do prefer everything to be black, kind of like the RS2 Pro was, but who knows, it will probably grow on me. It, although being small, is still big enough on the grip for me to fit my fairly meaty hands on there. And with this, the tripod legs at the bottom and this grip here, or using, the included briefcase handle thing, it's going to be perfectly comfortable to hold this, and it's going to be much lighter. All I'm concerned about is the weight capacity. Now, I've seen plenty of videos, people balancing 70 to 200s on there. I am reasonably sure, even though it comes under the weight, my 24 to 70 will be okay to balance on here. We'll just have to see. Fingers crossed there isn't anything wrong with that. Everything looks pretty cool. I love one thing about DJI products as well, and that is the protective films and just peeling it off. Call me weird, but I like that. This kind of has a similar vibe, but repeatable every time, because this little AI tracking module, which I'm excited to use, simply because it is always a bit of a pain to be framing your subject and looking where you're going. If you're on uneven ground, there's stuff you might hit. But look, look, I just love this sound when it clamps on there, look, because it's magnetic and it's got clips. I just love that sound. It goes on there really firmly as well. I don't think that's coming off. So yeah, nothing else to do. Let's go out and give it a whirl.
Several days later.
Alrighty then, I've had this for at least 5 days now, and I have some thoughts. Just initial thoughts, it's not a long-term review. I haven't even used it on a job yet. I've just been using it with my family because I've had no gimbal work in the last 5 days. Anyway, I'm gonna start with the pros. Pro number one is how compact this thing is. Oh my God, it fits in my small camera bag, so I can just take a camera and a lens or two, and then this gimbal just slots in the front pocket and it doesn't get in the way. It is nice to take out. It is fantastic. The size, the compact size, the portability of this thing, superb. Absolutely love it. Pro number two is the AI tracker, and it is also a con, but I'll mention that later. There is a caveat to it, but the AI tracker is fantastic. It is super easy to use. You don't need to really worry about it. I've just been either doing it with the hand gestures or clicking with the button, and it just does its job. It's fantastic, and it helps framing subjects. I hate having to try and walk along with a gimbal and try and concentrate really hard on the gimbal to keep my subject framed perfectly while not falling into a river, not backing into somebody. It's nice to be able to look where you're going and kind of just keep an eye on the gimbal out of the corner of your eye and let it know that it's just doing its job. So that is a big plus. So another pro of this gimbal is the Teflon coating. I never thought it would be or make so much of a difference. It really makes it easy to slide those arms about, because one thing that always happened with other gimbals was you'd want to move it just a tiny bit, like a millimeter or two, and you'd be pushing, nothing is happening. All of a sudden, it would just slide way too fast. So you'd end up TikToking backwards and forwards. The Teflon coating on this does make a huge difference, and it is super easy and super fast to set up. It's pretty good though. The Teflon, super nice. Alrighty, so some cons. Now, one con is what was a pro earlier, the AI tracker. In fact, there's two cons with the AI tracker. The first one being, at the moment, it only does people. And like things like the DJI Pocket 3, I'm pretty sure that tracks non-human subjects. You can track things like buildings or cars or stuff. And if they can just put a firmware update and give this the ability to do that, it will elevate this gimbal so much. It's incredible. It's great that it can do people, but I just would like it to do non-human subjects as well. That would be fantastic. If I could just get to track the headlight of a car when you do a car video, or building corner, anything like that would just be fantastic. So DJI, please, fingers crossed, let's give us a firmware update with that ability. The second con is also the AI tracker, and I'm not sure if it's just something I'm doing wrong, if it's human error, but I'm pretty sure it's not. And that con is that it seems to do just fine when you're tracking other people, right? If you're holding the gimbal upright in like this kind of position, like this. As soon as you go over, it's tipping at like a 45-degree angle or something, it will follow and track up to a certain point, and then when it gets to a certain point, suddenly all the arms whoop, and it does some weird flip over or goes some weird direction, and then you have to start the shot all over again. For example, I was trying to do this with my son. He is 8. I'm 6'2", so I have to hold the gimbal. I have to crouch really low, holding the gimbal like doing a weird crouchy ninja walk, or tip it forward so it's like kind of this angle, and that allows me to frame him a lot better. And as I'd be going past him trying to orbit, it would be fine up to a certain point halfway through it, and then he would start slipping in the frame, and eventually it would just flip upside down. If it can only be used in a perfectly upright position, it's going to be a little annoying. Not the end of the world, but yeah, that's just my thoughts anyway. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Is this something that would annoy you as well? And the last con is just the fact that there is no bag. And I get it. I get why DJI didn't include a bag or anything like you do with the Pro models. They cost huge amounts more. This is super cheap. In fact, it is an absolute steal of a price. I couldn't believe how cheap it was. But it is kind of annoying, because before, when you're here, like I have my office shelves over here, and I have everything stacked in their bags. I used to have the RS2 Pro just in its bag when I wasn't using it. Everything has a little place to be zipped in, or a little elastic bit that kept it in there, and you just slid it into the shelf. Now I don't have a bag, so I've just been leaving it set up like this and stood on the side, and then the handles and all the other little gubbins just on the side. So I'm gonna have to find my own bag for it, which I'm hoping someone will bring out an aftermarket version and I can buy it on Taobao. But being so new, that's not happened yet. So at the minute, the no bag is kind of a little bit of a bummer. Other than that though, not too bad. Alrighty, so that is basically it. Just some initial thoughts on the gimbal. I'm not sure with gimbals how much further they can really push the technology. Apart from tracking and stuff, I'm not sure what else you could want from a gimbal other than keeping a camera stable. I guess maybe different shapes and getting it super light. Either way, it's a cool gimbal. It is a great gimbal. It is not without its flaws though. I hope that this can help you and answer some of the questions that I probably should have asked before I just rushed out and sold my RS2 Pro. For me, it's not too bad because I do have an old Ronin M if I wanted to do a really heavy gimbal setup, but for you, it might not be the same. If there's any more questions, just hit me up in the comments down below. I'll be more than happy to answer them, and if I don't know the answer, I can get the gimbal, set it up, and give it a try. It's a great gimbal. It's a great price. There are flaws. What do you guys think? See you next time, guys. Peace.